Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is June 15th, almost halfway through the month of June, and we're finally getting a signal for some more active weather rolling into the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that as we go through the forecast here this morning. But right now we're dealing with kind of this mixed bag of cloud activity here across western Washington. Better for western Oregon if you're looking for sunshine anyway. Washington coast not doing too bad as well. Some of southwest BC getting some nice sunshine there, and some mid-level clouds, high-level clouds moving across eastern Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana this morning. Taking a look at lightning strikes over the last 24 hours near the Canada-Washington border there, Rocky Mountains of BC, some of Alberta. And you see the stronger storms out there across central portions of Montana that moved off to the east. Nothing for Idaho or Oregon yesterday. So if you want your own home weather station here, this one is a fun one. It does all kinds of stuff. It detects lightning as well. You'll have it up and running in about 5 minutes. Highly recommend the station. Click on the link down below to save 10% off. And a good way to get my updates here is on the Patreon page as well. I'll post my daily videos here. I'll continue to do so. There's a way to sign up for free. And yeah, you can support the channel here as well if you like. So looking at today, you can see just clipping northeast Washington, northern portion of Idaho there. But the stronger storms, again, central, eastern Montana. Bit of a tornado threat there as well. Some of Wyoming and some of the Dakotas are under that gun here as well. But you see, not much of Washington, Oregon, or just clipping portions of Idaho for today. This is day 2. Notice it starts to include portions of eastern Oregon. I'll show you that here in some of the high resolution models in a moment. And just a heads up here, we got some gusty winds coming up here. Increased potential for fire spread in dry grasses. That does include places like Wilbur, just near Ritzville there. There's Moses Lake, Wenatchee. This is for gusty winds tomorrow. These winds are going to be picking up a little bit here. This is issued this morning by the Spokane National Weather Service. Always on top of things, always got great graphics out there. One of the best National Weather Service offices in terms of putting out these graphics in the entire country. So looking at 80-meter wind speed streamlines. And this is speed and knot. So here we go through the day today. See, as we go through the evening hours, start to pick up those winds a little bit there. East slopes the Cascades. A little bit of a westerly surge coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca here as we go through tomorrow morning. But watch what happens as we go through Monday. Look at these winds really pick up as we go through the evening hours. And that's where about the North American model run. It is loading as we speak. We're about hour 38, and you see the westerly surge through the Strait of Juan de Fuca, a little bit of that through the Chehalis Gap as well, keeping that onshore flowing here across the region. You see it coming through the Columbia River Gorge there, right along the Washington-Oregon border. Some gusty winds for the east slopes of the Cascades of Oregon as well. And you see some gusty winds through Treasure Valley also. Look at that as we go through the evening hours. Look at some of that, probably from that thunderstorm activity here as we go through the day tomorrow. Now, looking at that again, one more. This is day 3. Sorry, I forgot to show this one, so I'll just briefly show that one coming up here. But I also want to draw attention to some fire weather outlook. Just because you don't see any of this here across Washington, Oregon, does not still mean that it is not fire season here across the region. So when I do show these, don't think that we're just completely out of the woods. We still have some of that elevated risk, especially as we go through the day tomorrow with some lower relative humidities and some gusty winds. And there's day 2 off mainly across the southwest USA. So looking at here, I said we had some interesting weather coming up. And if we take a look at the European on the left versus the GFS, this is the American model on the right. This is the European model here on the left. So if we put this into motion, you can kind of see the trough there hanging out towards Haida Gwaii, southeast Alaska. And then we get, a little bit of some ridging here as we go through the very early portion of next week. But then we continue to bring this troughiness here towards the Pacific Northwest. We've got a system moving through on the day Wednesday. See a little bit of a disagreement there on the strength of that system there, but it could bring a little bit of light rain here, even down towards Seattle. And then we get this trough shifting across Pacific Northwest. Pretty good model agreement on last night's run between the European again and the GFS on the right. That's 144 hours. That's where last night's European model run ends. But the GFS in lockstep here with this trough set up over the region. So what this could do is bring some enhanced precipitation. It could destabilize the atmosphere. We could get thunderstorms west of the Cascades here as well. So this is about June 20th, what I'm showing you right here. So we're going to be watching this system very closely here over the next few days to see how that trends. Now, if we look at the European here, we're going to scroll through this. You see some thunderstorm activity again across the Rockies, some of the higher terrain. But as we go through Monday, we start to bring that back in. Maybe a thunderstorm or two across the Oregon Cascades, east slopes there down towards southern Oregon, eastern Oregon under the gun, maybe just clipping north or southeast Washington, and maybe some in North Washington, British Columbia, a few lightning strikes there as we go through the day on Monday. But then we start to watch this trough out over the coastline there. We go through Tuesday. Some of that's impacting Vancouver Island. As we go through the day, Wednesday, some light precipitation showing up for western Washington. Better amounts across southwest BC. Some of the Oregon coast getting a bit there. Maybe we'll get enough to wet the ground or bring 1/100th of an inch or two for places like Portland, Oregon. We scroll on in through the day Thursday. Then you see the upper level low kind of pinwheeling off the coastline as we go towards the end of the week. That could bring some thunderstorm activity here west of the Cascades. So that's that next system we're watching. We'll see how that trends. No promises yet, of course, as we got to try to get a little bit closer before we gain much confidence in this forecast. These upper level lows at this time of year can be very finicky. Now, looking at Cape unstable, this is the most unstable parcel here. This is a convective available potential energy. So it tells you how much of that energy is in the atmosphere that might spawn some thunderstorms. So one thing I've learned about the European, when you see any Cape at all, there is some instability around it. It can kind of underplay the amounts of Cape going on here. So if we go on in towards the end of the forecast, again, you can kind of see the hint of it right there as we go through the day on Friday. Could be destabilizing things enough for a few lightning strikes west of the Cascades. But again, we'll watch that as we go through the next upcoming days and through this next period. Composite reflectivity, let me update this. North American high resolution model here. We're going to zoom in a little bit because I want to concentrate here on Eastern Oregon tomorrow. As we go through the day on Monday, some of this activity right there. You see some of these little bit heavier cores out there. Some of these might be some prolific lightning producing storms as we go through the afternoon of Monday and through the evening hours. So just trying attention to that. And then you can kind of see this next system here bringing some light precipitation here towards the Washington coast, Vancouver Island. Shouldn't be too much here as we go through the day on Tuesday for Seattle and Portland, but that may change a little bit on Wednesday as we start to bring some of that light precipitation inland. Now, looking at the European ensemble mean, this is yesterday afternoon, 15-day precipitation anomaly. And again, on the below normal side of things here, there's a few areas across the higher terrain of British Columbia, maybe some of the coastal range. Look at a couple areas that are popping above normal. We're also going to do this. We're going to back this up here, and let's take a look here and see what we got. So probabilities of precipitation, we're going to go to surface precipitation. We're going to go to 5-day precipitation anomaly there. And again, this is last night's run now, the 060. And you can see that below normal signal there in the next 5 days or so. But yeah, so let's take a look here. We're going to go back now to the 0Z run, and we're going to scroll through this and kind of see the 5-day precipitation anomaly. So it does show a little bit above normal here across some portions here as we go off into the 6 to 10 day period. So that's probably what the Climate Prediction Center has been pointing at now, but just see a lot of areas still not above average in this region, and it's not by much. So yeah, just kind of showing you that we're not dealing with a lot of precipitation here with these next systems here, but we got to watch that upper level low. It could surprise us here, and some areas could get heavier amounts versus some others, probably some isolated heavier amounts associated with it if that trough does show up. Now, total precipitation in inches here as we go on in through, we're looking at about hour 100 here. You can see on the day Wednesday, we get about 300ths of an inch, just enough to wet the ground, and, you know, a little bit of drizzly nature of this precipitation out there. It just lights them out, not even drizzle, just light rain for the most part. But yeah, anyway, you can see it doesn't amount to much until we get towards that upper level trough showing up towards the end of the week. You can see Seattle getting up towards 0.2 of an inch, Portland, maybe Western Oregon, a little bit higher amounts across the higher terrain as well. So again, we'll be watching that system. Total precipitation in inches on the European deterministic run here. So let's scroll through this, and we'll go out 144 hours as well. Again, there's Wednesday system right there. And as we go through Friday, a little bit more starts to creep in there, as you can see. So anyway, we'll be waiting on that. Now, looking at National Blended Models, 2-meter daily max temperature. This is today, Sunday, June 15th, Seattle into the lower 70s. Not bad out there. And of course, if you guys were out around across some of the region there yesterday, not a bad day at all. I mean, you can't really beat it when you're getting into the upper 60s and some glorious sunshine out there, and you got a nice little breeze going on, very comfortable temperatures. Again, that should be the case for most of the region here again today. And if you're out across Treasure Valley and Eastern Washington, Oregon, are used to some of these warmer temperatures versus what we get here west of the Cascades. So there's Monday, 74 for Seattle, maybe some mid and upper 70s for Portland there, some 90-degree readings showing up. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you see how that upper level low comes across the region here and starts to suppress the temperatures a bit. Then we go through Saturday, Sunday, and then maybe we'll bounce back as we go through the following week. Who knows? Too early to tell on that. So Wet bulb globe temperature here. So we are in low heat risk out there. We should be so here for the next couple of weeks or so. No big ridge showing up in our extended forecast. Mossbacks rejoice yet again. Comfortable temperatures. That's for Portland, and that's for Seattle. And I just kind of grabbed another one here, Dallas. You can kind of see they're up into high, but you can kind of see how this goes. Wet bulb globe temperature takes into account the region you are in. So if you are, of course, across Dallas, you're probably acclimated to warmer temperatures versus if you were across the Pacific Northwest. You can kind of see how they would be dealing with that. Still even high for Dallas-Fort Worth on the day Monday tomorrow. Now, taking a look at the European ensemble of means, so let's take a wider look at things here. This is North America. There is Alaska. Here's the Pacific Northwest. We got the troughing here with us, and it's going to be with us here as we go through this upcoming week again and get a system on Wednesday, and then look at that upper level low settling down across the Pacific Northwest. So this is all 50 ensemble members. And this is the gold standard here as far as 500 millibar heights are concerned. So you get a really good idea of where ridges and troughs are, and you can see the ridging out over the Pacific, the troughing across the Pacific Northwest. That would be our upper level low right there. So we are gaining some confidence in this system, but again, we'll kind of just get a little bit closer before we start to try to get into these finer details with that system as we go on into the end of the week. And then we scroll off into the future a little bit more. You notice the Pacific high is still out here far enough away where it's not going to give us a heat dome here as we start towards the end of the month of June. You see the troughing, the general troughing here across the west coast of the USA. Then as we score towards the end of the period, let's see what it has in store for us. Still showing some of this troughing right here across the Pacific Northwest. Again, this is yesterday afternoon's run. We'll keep on watching this signal here because at some point during the summer we're going to get one of these ridges that tries to set up shop here. And once you start to get into July and you set off one of these big ridges here, you can really ramp up the temperatures here across the region. July generally our warmest month. August a very close second. Now this is 2 meter temperature anomaly. We're looking at a 7-day running total. This is the extended forecast, and you can kind of see as we go through the month of June below normal, but watch as we get into July. You can kind of see that change in a bit here as a lot of the Pacific Northwest, generally speaking, above normal there. And again, in a 7-day running total. So anyway, you take that with a grain of salt at this point. Anyway, so 6 to 10 day climate prediction center, since I've been showing this daily, we'll just continue to do so. This was updated yesterday, June 14th. That below normal signal there for the 6 to 10 day. And the above normal precipitation. But again, the precipitation signal is not that strong, so you kind of take that with a grain of salt as well. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Get out there and enjoy that weather. This should be burning back for a lot of areas across the Puget Sound region here, and of course western Oregon. You're getting a lot of sunshine already. We'll continue to watch things. Thunderstorm activity eastern Oregon tomorrow, and then we'll watch that next system roll in Wednesday and on into the next end of next week. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.